Hi, welcome to the Bee Equipment Essentials series on how to build a hive. This video series and the book from which it is taken is designed to give the beekeeper with some woodworking knowledge enough information to allow them to construct their own equipment. Rather than repeat all the basic information and to shorten this video, please watch the introduction segment of the series before watching the individual segments. And, most important, when working with power equipment, please be careful and take all safety precautions. So, let's build a bottom board. Bottom boards take a beating. They are the final resting place for all the debris that the bees drop inside their hives. With this in mind, we will build a very serviceable bottom board that will last a long time if it is taken care of. Building a bottom board requires some woodworking expertise. The standard bottom board has a solid bottom and can be made of about any type or thickness of wood. The standard bottom board consists of side rails, a back rail, and a bottom which is either multiple or a single board. One 1-inch by 8-inch by 8-foot long standard board will supply enough material for one bottom board with a little left over. Cut a groove 3/8 of an inch deep and 3/4 of an inch wide, 3/4 inches from the edge of an 8-foot board for the length of the board. This groove must be wide enough to allow the bottom to slide into. Create the side and back rails by detaching the groove from the board. Do this by cutting a strip of wood 2 1/4 inches wide, which includes the groove. Make sure that there is 3/4 of an inch on each side of the groove so the board can be turned over. Next, cut the 8-foot long grooved rail you have just created into two 21 5/8 inch pieces for the sides and one 16 1/4 inch piece for the back. Notch the ends of the back rail. This allows the side rails to fit into the back rail without a groove showing. It eliminates the hiding place for unwanted insects, mainly small hive beetles and ants. The drawing shows a 1/2 inch width on one side of the rail. This video recommends that you use 3/4 of an inch width on both sides of the rail so that the bottom board can be turned over and still be usable. Create the bottom board by cutting the large piece of wood left over from the rail removal into 15 1/2 inch lengths. The total width of the pieces should be a minimum of 22 inches. Make sure that the cuts are square. If you are using a solid plywood base, cut the plywood into a 15 1/2 inch by 21 5/8 inch square. Test fit the back and side rails to the bottom. While fitting the bottom, mark the rails where the pilot holes for the screws need to be drilled. These pilot holes will reduce the splitting of the wood. Be careful when using multiple pieces for the bottom. The piece that serves as the landing or front should be wide enough so that no joints are in the exposed landing area. You may need to swap the pieces around to achieve this purpose. Then disassemble the bottom board. If you are using multiple pieces of board for the bottom, trim the last piece to the correct width before installing. Then drill the starter holes in the end and side rails. Reassemble the bottom board using glue and screws, all the time making sure the board is square. Paint the bottom board. It is extremely important that you get a couple of thick coats of paint on it to help retard the rotting. The drawing for the bottom board is simple. Use the pause button to examine the drawing more closely. By making the rails 3/4 of an inch wide on both sides of the groove, you can then flip the bottom board over and use the opposite side where the first side becomes unusable. Not a bad deal for the cost of a 1 by 8 by 8-foot board, some screws, glue, and paint. You have a serviceable bottom board available for your use. Having extra bottom boards available gives you some flexibility when doing spring cleanup and catching swarms. This video, along with 5 additional videos in the series, contain all the information needed for you to construct a complete hive. The videos in this series are how to build a hive stand, a bottom board, an entrance reducer, hive bodies, an inner cover, and a telescoping top. The Bee Equipment Essentials book is the one place where you can find all the dimensions and instructions needed to construct the basic equipment used by backyard and serious sideliner beekeepers. The Bee Equipment Essentials book is available through Wickwhack Press at wickwhack.com, by emailing me at orinocohoney@pitel.net. Also, a CD with all 6 videos is available from orinocohoney@pitel.net. For more information on this book and the author of this series, please see the introduction segment of this series. Thank you for watching this video. I hope it has been a help to you. Please tell your friends about it, and happy beekeeping!